What up, folks? It's your boy Tim again, also known as Chicago in the Corner. Title of this video, as you can see, is what is the right way to protest, or protesting the right way. How do you do that? Well, first of all, we absolutely know it's not setting people's shit on fire that you have nothing to do with, or using that as an opportunity to seize for personal gain and break into some shop and steal a television or a brand new cordless circular saw that you've been dying to get. It's the wrong way, no doubt about it. Committing a crime to address an atrocity, most people would quickly say that is the wrong way to do it. So what's the right way to protest? Probably not that. But before we get deeper into this, because we're going to get into it, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We're slowly inching up there. Not where I want to be, but people are subscribing, and I'm glad for those who are. I definitely love you. You're the reason I'm out here, but I want more of you. And if you like what I'm saying, which the last video I posted got a unanimous group of likes, not one dislike. That's not normal for me, considering my audience tends to lean right. So to get everybody in unison saying they like my last video, that really shocked me. I'll link that video in the comments, and we can address that if you want. As usual, any comment you post on the video, I will address that comment. So if you like what I'm saying, click the like button. If you do not like what I'm saying, I have absolutely no problem with you clicking the dislike button. And if you tell me why in the comments, we will hash it out. I am not scared. So what's the right way to protest? Protesting the right way? Well, like I said, it certainly isn't rioting and looting. We could ask, and I could tell you that Washington Post or whatever claims that 96% of Black Lives Matter protests are peaceful, but chances are most of the audience would not believe that. You know, we know how the media leans left or leans right and tends to, find its own agenda. So we're not going to go into that, but definitely not rioting and looting. Well, what about quietly taking a knee during the anthem? That's certainly not, it's not rioting, it's not looting, it's not violent. But a lot of people would argue it's disruptive. I didn't come to a game to hear about politics. I didn't come to the game to see an athlete hash out his grievances. So, unfortunately, there's a large portion of America that also disagrees with, taking a knee during the anthem. Or even when you go back to black, Olympic athletes, they gave the fist. This was back in the 1970s. They gave the fist during the gold medal ceremony, and that also was the same thing. You got athletes getting political. In fact, you look at Muhammad Ali, there's a history of athletes being political. But once again, like I said, a lot of people consider that to be very disruptive because you're going for entertainment, not politics. So taking a knee, being violent, or being disruptive, which is a category I'm going to put, say, Colin Kaepernick and Muhammad Ali, I will put that in a category of being disruptive. So that also is not the right way to protest, or at least a large portion of America disagrees with that. Okay, what about placing a Black Lives Matter sign on your lawn, to say you're down with the cause? Well, if you think that Black Lives Matter is predominantly a group that loots and and promotes violence and hatred and racism, then you're going to also be in defiance of posting a sign like that on the lawn or a bumper sticker on a car or whatever the case may be. So that's not going to get you a lot of favorable attention from anybody who thinks rioting and looting or taking a knee during the anthem is the wrong way to protest. So if you put that sign on your lawn, then you're in favor of all of those things as well, or you're in favor of a group that promotes those things. So putting their signs on your lawn that support Black Lives Matter, or I can't breathe, or hands up, don't shoot, you're probably not going to be viewed very favorably. So we go back to the same question. Well, how do you protest the right way? Well, the unanimous suggestion in 2021 would be to do it like Martin Luther King did it. Peaceful, non-violent, no rioting, no looting, etc., etc. Now, I will say that one of the things that is left out of that particular viewpoint is that for all the peace that Martin Luther King exhibited while protesting, he was sure met with a lot of violence. So the idea that Martin Luther King's protests and gatherings were not violent isn't necessarily true. It's just that the violence was on the other side. I mean, they were being fire hosed, they were having dogs sicked on them, they were being beaten by police, et cetera, et cetera. So is the right way to protest is for you to be gentle and the other side to be aggressive? Because like I said, the Martin Luther King protests were anything but nonviolent. If you ever seen the movie Selma, or you know what happened with the bridge crossing in Selma, you'll know that state troopers on horseback literally ran over the peacefully protesting crowd, and individuals lost their lives there. But that was a peaceful protest. I mean, I don't even know how many times Martin Luther King was locked up, thrown in jail. And this is also transitioning into people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, who are still alive today. And once again, I would say that Jesse Jackson, for all of his controversy and all of the negative things that are attributed towards Jesse Jackson, his protests are very similar to Martin Luther King's. Jesse Jackson has never been on side of a looting or a violent protest. All of his protests are done, rather peacefully. But he's not viewed any more positively than Martin Luther King. There's a bunch of other where he got on the wrong side of this, or he promoted that, or he's a racist. So you're not going to get that. And also, let's just be honest. Martin Luther King was viewed in his day while he was protesting peacefully as a racist. He was also placed on the FBI's terrorist watch list. So if you think that Martin Luther King protested in a way that's proper and he exhibited the peaceful way you should protest, I guess we'd have to wonder why he was treated so badly for doing so. Because, like I said, he was on the FBI terrorist list, and the particular mindset was that these towns are living in peace and harmony until Martin Luther King comes along, and all of a sudden there's divisiveness and there's problems. But this town was doing very well before you came in this town and started getting people to protest and having people in uproar. It's kind of like if you take a corporation where the employees are silently unhappy, and then a union rep or somebody comes in there and starts promoting them to join a union. Well, things get to be testy in that business, because all of a sudden now the employees are banding together and they're speaking up against things that they normally had remained silent about, and a lot of that gets blamed on the union rep. Things are running fine before you came in here and convinced these people of this or that, and as a result, the union rep is the bad guy. And that's very similar to how Martin Luther King was treated. But that's getting off of Martin Luther King and coming forward towards modern times. I mentioned Sharpton and Jackson, but there are a lot of civil rights leaders that have existed before and after Martin Luther King. And my own research tells me that not one of them was viewed favorably in their time. I mean, obviously we know Sharpton and Jackson are not viewed favorably in 2021, but they weren't viewed very favorably in 1981 or 1961 either. And I don't know of any. Like I said, I looked up and I tried to find, and I would like to see this in the comments if you could. Name a single civil rights leader that's speaking up in favor of minorities that, for the most part, they're not facing any excessive amount of backlash. A well-known civil rights leader that often talks about oppression or disparity of treatment between the races, and you don't see a lot of backlash going towards that person. I would really like to know, and I'd like to be corrected. I would really like to be corrected on this one. Willing to discuss that in the comments with you, because like I said, we're trying to figure out what is the correct way to protest. Now, I would say we can take a peaceful protest that is happening in today's society. I'm going to give you one that is clear as day. Abortion. There are always people protesting abortion. They're in front of a lot of abortion centers. You'll see them all the time. Of course, during the presidential runs and gubernatorial runs, whether you're liberal or whether you're right-wing, the abortion protesters are going to come out as well, because the liberals tend to be pro-choice and the right-wing tends to be pro-life, and they believe in the sanctity of preserving the life of the unborn. So you're going to get the protesters that come out during election time as well. And I would say the election, or not the election, but the abortion protesters are the perfect example of what most people would refer to as protesting the right way or the correct way. What's the problem with that is it's very easy to ignore. You've been driving down the road and you see, on the corner, there's 5 or 6 people standing there with a Bible in their hand, and maybe they got a picture of an aborted fetus or something of that nature. Maybe Bible verses are on big, huge police cars. What do most drivers do? They turn the other way and they keep going. And that's what's happening from a group that is, they're not rioting, they're not looting, they're not disrespecting the anthem, they're not blocking traffic, they're doing nothing wrong, and they're succeeding at getting nothing done the way they want. They are the easiest to ignore. And that would be what everybody would refer to as protesting the right way. And let's just say, let's take the athlete Colin Kaepernick, for instance. Let's say he stopped taking a knee during the anthem, assuming he was still playing the sport. He no longer took a knee, and he done something like that. He led a group. They stood on a corner and they protested police brutality. They didn't block off any traffic like Black Lives Matter routinely does block traffic. But let's say this group that Colin Kaepernick has assembled, they're not blocking traffic. They're not rioting, they're not looting, they're not threatening anyone. They just stand on particular corners, maybe down the street from a police station, so that they're not blocking traffic coming to and from the police, which would be also a crime. They're off to the side and they're just standing there, with their chants. I can't breathe, we need to fix police corruption, no justice, all of this stuff. What would happen? Well, we would just ignore them. The people who favor what they're saying would listen, but the people who disagree with them would just ignore it, the same way we do the abortion protesters. And as a result, it would go on and on and on, which is exactly what's happening with the abortion protesters. They are complaining, they are praying their butts off, but at the same time, we're still aborting well over 500,000 babies each year. So they're getting nowhere with that protest. Now, when one of them decides to do something that is incredibly wrong, like murder an abortion doctor, which has happened, an abortion physician, or bomb an abortion clinic, now we're talking violence. But what ends up happening? That clinic is closed. It's no longer practicing Planned Parenthood, or it's not practicing whatever. It's not terminating babies. That's pretty much the best way I can put it. And it's a felony. It's wrong. I'm not justifying it at all. I'm just simply saying if the end result is to get them to stop, that part is successful, at least for that one clinic. Chances are, if it happened at multiple clinics, the success rate for it would go up. People would be more cautious about where they put their clinics at. It would be harder to get appointments. They'd have to pay a fortune for security, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The point I'm trying to make here is that while it is absolutely atrocious to steal some shit that you don't have, you don't own, you're using the riots or the protests as an opportunity to break into Target or Best Buy and steal some shit that's not yours, or you're out setting fire and putting people's lives in jeopardy that had nothing to do with the process, yelling angry slogans or threatening slogans at white people when there's a lot of white people that also are down with the cause. It is wrong 100%, but it is undeniably effective. And that is where the problem is that when we say what is the right way to protest versus the wrong way, because of its shock value, it actually gets things done. And we can take into consideration what happened on January 6th. They believed the election was stolen from them. They didn't get the election back, but look at all of the laws that have been passed to prevent election fraud because of what they did. So we can talk all day about what's right or what's wrong, but with all of those election laws and all of that change have had happened, if they didn't break into the Capitol building and let people know that we mean business, you can go all the way back as far as the Boston Tea Party. Point is, when you do things with shock value, it does get greater results. They complain, like I mentioned earlier in the video, quite a bit about what Martin Luther King was doing. He was going in towns, upsetting towns. He was, to some degree, blocking up traffic with the marches and things like that. If he had done things the way the current citizenry of that time thought he should do it, if he had protested in the manner they thought he should protest, he would have accomplished nothing. He would have put himself in a position where it was easier to ignore him. And I've asked this question numerous times to a lot of people who said that Black Lives Matter is protesting the wrong way, Colin Kaepernick is protesting the wrong way, Jesse Jackson's protesting the wrong way. When I asked all of them, well, what is the right way to do it? Their answer generally is, well, not like that. Well, okay, it's clear you don't believe these people are doing it the right way. What is the right way? Well, not like they're doing it. Well, that doesn't answer the question at all. And the answer is pretty simple. There is no right way to do it. I mean, Colin Kaepernick could rent time on a television station and try to get his message across. The people who don't agree with him just simply would not watch that station at that time. They just wouldn't pay attention to it. So there's really, like I said, what I'm trying to get across is there's really no right way you can do it and be successful. Certainly not in any time expeditiously. I mean, maybe you want to keep crying the same thing for maybe 50 years, 100 years. Maybe somebody eventually will listen to it that way. That may have an effect. But generally, nobody wants to wait that long to effect change. They just don't. Certainly if it's something where you think it's, someone taking away your gun rights or stealing an election that you thought was in a totally unfair manner, or beating up people, with a badge that looked like you. People are not going to want to wait 20, 30, 40, 50 years to do it the right way. They're going to want justice now. Hence the phrase, no justice, no peace. If you don't give this person justice, they're not going to be peaceful. Very old slogan. So I would love to hear your comments. What do you think? What do you think is the correct way to protest anything and be met with success? Now, obviously, you can protest with your pocketbook. If you're in position, I don't know how you would protest with your pocketbook against police, but the protest against the NFL, the protest against the NBA, they had some effect. In fact, they had quite a bit of effect. Colin Kaepernick is no longer in the league. In fact, many would say that he was probably blacklisted and ejected from the NFL probably at least 2 to 3 years earlier than he normally would have been. He wasn't an A+ player, but he certainly was good enough to still be in an NFL uniform. So you could certainly protest with your pocketbook in some situations. I don't know. Like I said, when it comes to police misconduct, I don't know. Same thing with abortion. How are you going to protest abortion with your pocketbook? You can try to fight it at election time, but there's always a chance you can lose an election. So if you believe in the sanctity of life, there's not a lot of ways you can protest that with your pocketbook, because everything is not based on capitalism. Generally, if I don't like what you're doing, like my Coca-Cola Be Less White video, which got a lot of views, saying that and kind of plugging it, but the Coca-Cola Be Less White video is a good example where Coca-Cola said something that was very bigoted, telling their new hires or their employees to the company would be in more harmony if you acted less white, so to speak. I mean, and you could protest Coca-Cola because it is a for-profit company. You could protest them with your pocketbook. Don't buy their products and it may have an effect. You can't do that with the police department. That option is just not there. They're not selling you anything. So you can't protest them with your pocketbook. And it's the same thing with the abortion clinics that I keep bringing up. You cannot protest them with your pocketbook because you weren't purchasing pregnancy terminations anyway. So you want them to stop doing it to other people. So there's no way you can protest that. The same thing would apply with the outcry against civil unions. I don't believe a man should be able to marry another man, or a woman should be able to marry another woman. There's no way to protest that with your pocketbook. Same thing about the legalization of marijuana. You cannot protest that with your pocketbook because you weren't buying marijuana anyway if you think it should be illegal. So there's no way to protest that. So I'm going to ask once again in the comments, I look forward to hearing from you. What is the proper way to protest something that you think that exists? Lastly, I will say one of the most difficult challenges when it comes to having someone tell you to protest the right way is that you're generally going to hear that from somebody who does not believe in your cause. Okay, for instance, let's say we were violently protesting abortion clinics, and the person telling me I need to protest the right way is pro-choice. If you're pro-choice, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to turn you to be pro-life. If you believe a woman should be able to control what she does with her body, nothing I'm going to say to you is going to make you change. No matter how I protest, peacefully, violent, etc., nothing's going to change your mind. And that's the problem here, is if you do not believe that police are mistreating minorities, mistreating black people. Maybe you got your dad's a cop, or maybe you got 3 law enforcement officials that's in your family. You know they are the nicest guys. They go to the hood and they drop off turkeys in the summer, turkeys at Thanksgiving, and they give kids footballs in the summertime. You're not going to believe someone saying that the police are mistreating black people, no matter how they say it. I got examples. My uncle's a cop, and he's and black kids love him. So in some cases, there is no right way to convince somebody that doesn't believe in your cause. I mean, let's just take the Second Amendment. I don't care how many mass shootings there are. If you believe that you should be able to protect your family, hunt without hunt animals with firearms, or just simply be prepared to go against a tyrannical government. Nothing I say, no kind of way I protest it is going to change your mind. What is the right way to protest? Doesn't matter. You're not going to change my mind. So I'm going to tell you you're doing it the wrong way, but I'm never going to tell you you're doing it the right way, because I don't agree with your sentiment. So keep that in mind also when people are saying the right way to protest and the wrong way to protest. Chances are the people who are complaining that you're protesting the wrong way are beyond being convinced, no matter how you protest. I'm going to conclude this video. It was nice getting you to watch this one. And once again, like I said, subscribe. My numbers are coming up. Not all the way up, but they're coming up. I'm happy. And I look forward to talking to those who do give a damn in the comments. Catch you later. Chicago out.